Good morning, class 9 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagrati Classes. We were doing chapter 8 of class 9, that is motion, and we have already done many topics of this chapter, that is starting from the distance, displacement, then we did speed and velocity, then we did acceleration, then I told you some idea about the graphs, how can you read and interpret the different parameters from the given graph, that is the slope of the graph. What do you understand by the term slope? What do you mean by the term area of the graph? How you can actually find the area of any given graph? And the slope and area of different graphs will give you different parameters. For example, if we talk about, you are given a distance time graph and any curve you are given with, and if I tell you to find the area of this graph, or we need to find the slope. Whatever you are given in the question, you can solve it accordingly. Okay, and you know that this distance time graph, the slope, if you find it would be y upon x, that is d upon t, and this d upon t gives you the value of speed. So if you are said calculate the speed from the given curve, that is from the given distance time graph, then how would you do that? You will do that slope of this graph would give you the distance upon time, that is y-axis upon x-axis, and this distance upon time is equals to the formula of speed. So in this manner we have discussed how to read and interpret different parameters from the given curve. Then we also did a very important topic, that was graphical representation of equations of motion. We have discussed three equations of motion, the Vt relation, St relation and Vs relation. That is the velocity time relation, which is your first equation of motion, V equals to u plus at. Then we did the second, which was position time, S equals to ut plus half at square. And then we did the velocity position relation, which was v square minus u square gives you 2as. So these are the three equations of motion, and we derived every stepwise these all three equations. So this is all what we have done. Now we are left, we have also practiced many numericals, okay, some of the numericals based on the concepts, and some reasoning questions also I have told you simultaneously when we were discussing speed, velocity, acceleration. Then we also discussed one thing, that what do you mean by vector quantities and scalar quantities. So we said that all the physical quantities can be divided into two, scalar and vector. Vector means which has magnitude as well as direction, while scalar quantities only have magnitude, that is they do not have any kind of direction. For example, speed is a scalar quantity, whereas velocity is vector. Distance is again a scalar quantity and displacement is a vector physical quantity. So this all we have discussed. Now we will be discussing some of the numerical problems related to the three equations of motion which we discussed in the last section. So let's see, you have one question on page number 109 of your textbooks, that is the in-text question. And the question is, a bus starting from rest moves with a uniform acceleration of 0.1 meter per second square. So I'll write the given things. This is the question number 1 given on page 109. And it says that a bus is starting from rest. From the first line of the question itself, you can judge that bus is starting from rest. This means the initial velocity of bus is 0. So initially the bus was at rest, it was standing, and now it has started. So the first given value, what you get from the question is, your initial velocity denoted by the symbol small u is 0 meter per second, because it is given that bus is starting from rest. Okay. Then we are given it moves with a uniform acceleration of 0.1 meter per second square, that is acceleration is 0.1 meter per second square. I hope now you have known all the units and you can remember the symbols and units of all the physical quantities. Then you are given that time is 2 minutes and you have to find two things. The first one is you have to find the speed acquired, and the next you have to find the distance traveled. So after given, we'll write to find. So you have to find the speed acquired, which is your final velocity you have to find, and then you have to find the distance acquired or the distance traveled. So how to solve this? For solving all the question, these all in-text question, you have your three equations of motion. V equals to u plus at, s equals to ut plus half at square, and v square minus u square is equals to 2as. On the basis of the things which you are given with and you have to find, you have to decide which equation can you use. And you all know very well that from a single equation, you can find only one unknown parameter. That is, if you want to use a single equation, you should know every parameter of the equation except any one. Then you can find it. So let's see, our first question is to find V, and you are given with u, a and t. Now you have to decide from which equation can you apply this and you can find this final velocity V. So let's see, from the first equation, if you just see, you are given u, a and t. That is, u, a and t have been provided with their values and you have to find V. So we can in turn apply this first equation here. So for solution, for finding the final velocity, what you will do, from first equation you know V equals to u plus at. Now it's quite simple, you have to just put the values and you can find the value of your speed or final velocity. So u is 0 plus a is 0.1 and time is 2 minutes. We need to find every answer in SI units, okay? It is not wrong if you put 2 here, then your answer would not come in SI unit. That is, the SI unit of velocity is meter per second. But if you put the time in minutes, then the answer which you will get, the answer would be in meter per minute. But we are required to find everything in SI unit. It is accepted as the standard units for calculation. So we'll convert 2 minutes into seconds, and this is very easy. You know in 1 minute you have 60 seconds. So 2 multiplied by 60 gives you a total of 120 seconds, which makes up 2 minutes. So putting here 120 seconds. Now what you get is, you get 0.1 into 120, it would give you 12. And we know we have put all the quantities in SI unit, so the unit of velocity would be meter per second. So this was a simple explanation for the question. Now you have to find the second part, that is distance. Now let's see, to find the distance, at least your equation should contain the variable s. We know that only second and third equation which we have with us contains this variable s. So how to solve it? You can't now use the first equation for solving for distance because s variable is not present in the first equation. Now how to decide which equation can you use? You have to find the variable s, and now you have the values of u, a, t and v here. So I have the value of u, t, a, and here for third also I have all the values. So I can use any of the equations, either second or third, to find the answer, and both these equations will give you the same answer. Yes, your calculations must be correct. So let's use the third equation here, which is v square minus u square equals to 2as. You can practice and solve this question for s using the second equations, and you should get the same answer. So now we have v equals to 12 meter per second. So it would give you 12 square minus u is 0 square. 2 into a is 0.1 multiplied by the variable s, that is distance. Now you know 12 square is 144, 144 minus 0 is 144. 2 into 0.1 would become 0.2 into s. Now for solving this variable s, you will shift this 0.2 to the left hand side of the equation. And because this factor 0.2 is multiplying, when you shift this to the left hand side, it would get divided. So we'll get 144 divided by 0.2 gives you the value of s. And if you try to solve this, what you will do, you will remove the point, you will multiply by 10. So you will get 1440 upon 2. And when you solve this, 2 sevens 14, then you get 2 twos 4 and 720. So 720, and the SI unit for distance is meter. So 720 meter would be your answer for this question. I hope you understood this question. Now we'll be moving to the next question, which is given on page number 110. Okay, this was given on page number 109, and now we are moving on to the next. Given on page number 110, this is your question number 2. I'll read out from the books. A train is traveling at a speed of 90 kilometers per hour. Okay, so this gives you the initial speed of the train, which is 90 kilometers per hour. Then you are given brakes are applied so as to produce a uniform acceleration of minus 0.5 meter per second square. This gives you acceleration is minus 0.5 meter per second square. We are writing the things which are given in the question itself. You are given that a train is traveling with a speed of 90 kilometers and it is being accelerated at minus 0.5, and a line is written brakes are applied. It means the train which is traveling with the speed of 90 kilometers per hour, now it would go or travel some distance and it would stop, because the train is applying brakes. And if you have traveled through the train, you know that it is not that we apply brakes in the train and it stops at the moment. No, the train takes some time, that is slowly and gradually the speed of the train decreases and then finally it gets stopped. So in turn, the same situation is given in the question. The train was traveling with the speed of 90 kilometers per hour and it applied brakes. But after applying the brakes, the train gradually decreased its speed and then it will stop. So hence the negative sign here denotes that the train is retarding or deaccelerating. When I discussed acceleration topic with you, I told you acceleration may be positive, it may be negative. So what does negative acceleration means? We call this negative acceleration as retardation. It means acceleration in general sense means when the speed is increasing. But yes, acceleration you can also call when the speed is reducing or decreasing gradually. So here negative symbolizes that the speed of the train or the speed of the object is reducing. And because the brakes are applied, we know at the final stop, the train would stop. So we can infer that the final velocity of the train would be 0 kilometers per hour. Why I am using kilometer per hour here? Because you know the given unit of initial velocity is also the same. And this is a very important term, because this is not written that the final velocity of the train becomes 0. But you have to infer and conclude this point from the question itself. Like if you are given the object is starting from rest, as we did in the previous question, it means that initial velocity would be 0. In this question, you are given brakes are applied. Whenever brakes are applied, you know the object would definitely stop. And if the object would stop, its final velocity would be 0. So now, reading the question forward, find how far the train will go before it is brought to rest. So you have to find the distance the train would travel. Let's suppose you are in the train, you applied the brakes. The train gradually slowed down and then it stopped. So meanwhile, when the brakes was applied and the train actually stopped, you have to find the distance which the train has traveled. So we have to find S here. So these are the given values and this you have to find. Now we will be doing the solution. And you know we have 3 equations of motion. Please do learn the equations. First one was V equals to U plus AT. Can I apply the first equation here? No, because we do not have the time parameter, okay? See, you have these 3 equations. If you try to apply the first equation, you have V, you have U. A is given but time is not given. And we are not asked about the time also. So why to find time? If you apply first equation, you will get the answer of time. But in that question, you have to find the distance traveled. So time has no marks, so why to find time here? If we apply the second equation, then what do you have? In the second, you have to find the value of S in our question. You are given with U, but you do not have the parameter time given. And we can also solve. First, we'll apply this equation. We'll find the variable time. And after finding time, we'll apply second equation and then we'll find distance. This would also give you the correct answer definitely, but it would be a long process. So let's see, do we have any other option? Yes, you have the third equation of motion with you, which is v square minus u square equals to 2as. And if you apply this equation, you know the value of v, you know the value of u, 2 is already known, a here is also given, and you can directly find s. So why to apply two equations when we can do the same work by applying a simple equation, a single equation? So we are using this third equation of motion in our question number 2. That is, you can write by using the third equation of motion, which is v square minus u square gives you 2as. Now if you put the values and try to solve, you will easily get the answer. V is 0 here, so you will write 0 square minus u is 90 kilometers per hour. If this is not given in SI units, that is meter per second, I have already told you the conversion factor. If you want to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second, multiply the number with 5 upon 18. And we discussed how this factor comes, 5 upon 18. So if you multiply, then 9 5s are 450 by 18. And now you can put it here, or you can further simplify it, okay, cancel it. So I am just putting 450 divided by 18 square gives you 2 into a is negative 0.5 minus 0.5 and s you have to find. So if you solve these and you find, then you will be getting the speed, okay? That is, you will be getting the distance covered. I hope you can solve this question. It is very easy. Yes or no? You will get the answer of distance. What you will do is, this would give you minus 1.0, okay, here. And if you divide, this would give you minus 450. It is square, so we are multiplying it 2 times. And when you shift this minus 1.0, you can cancel negative sign from both the sides. And once you shift this, then you will get the answer of s to be 450 multiplied by 450 upon 18 multiplied by 18. 1.0 is 1, no need to shift this. And this would give you the answer of s. That is the distance traveled by the body. And the answer would be approximately 625 meter. I think this you can easily solve. All these numbers are divisible by 2. You can directly cut them out and then you can get the final answer. So this is the way. You should know the way how to solve, which equation you have to use. Okay, these all calculation part I know everyone can easily do. But the main thing is starting with the problem, knowing the concepts, knowing how, which formula should be applied to solve the given question. If you are good at this, that you can judge the formula out, then you can easily do these mathematical calculations. And just remember, you have to put the unit also in your answers. Without putting the unit, your answers would be incomplete. Okay, we are dealing with physics and the unit is required. So this is all. Now you can also take one, you can remember a trick, that whenever you are not given the factor time in the question and you are not asked about time, that is neither you are given time and nor you have to find the time, then you can skip both these equations. First equation also involves the factor time and second also contains the factor of time. But if you are not given time in the question and you are not using also finding you are not time, okay, that is time is not neither given nor you have to find, then you can directly apply this third equation. And or else you can just check it out. In every equation you should have one unknown variable and other rest all the variables should be known to you, then only you can solve your questions. So these were some of the numericals. Now the next one which is given is, a trolley while going down an inclined plane has an acceleration of 2 centimeter per second square, okay? And then it is given what will be the velocity after 3 seconds. So what we are given, now I will not solve it, I am just telling you that there is an inclined plane here and a trolley is here which is going down an inclined plane. So you can take here the initial velocity of the trolley would be 0 because you are holding the trolley, and when the trolley is initially at rest, you will find the initial velocity you will assume to be 0. Then it is going and the acceleration is, the given acceleration is 2 centimeter per second square. And next it is given what will be the velocity after 3 seconds after the start. So after 3 seconds, the time is 3 and you have to find the final velocity. And this again, can you tell me which equation of motion can you use here? You are given with the variables u, a and t and you are required to find the final velocity v. Yes, definitely you can use the first equation of motion, v equals to u plus at. And when you put all these values in this equation, you will get the answer of v here. And the answer of velocity would be approximately 6 centimeters per second. If you find the velocity in centimeter, if you put this value directly as centimeter per second square, then the velocity would be 6 centimeter per second. And then you can convert this velocity to meter per second or whichever units you are required to answer in. So this was the questions, all the questions, okay, which we have here. Now we'll be dealing with a new topic, which is the last topic of this chapter. It is uniform circular motion. Now this is a short topic, you have to remember some things. Uniform circular motion. अभी तक जितने भी motions we were dealing with, they were all rectilinear, okay, that is the object was moving in a straight path. So I am telling it to be rectilinear motion. But in this topic you have to study circular motion. This means uniform circular motion, the first point would be object is moving in a circular path. This would be the first point. Okay, in uniform circular motion, the object moves in a circular path. I hope you know. In this manner, the object is moving either clockwise or anti-clockwise it can move. Then the next point, why this is called uniform? Because in this kind of motion, the speed of the object remains uniform. Or you can say, the speed of the objects remains uniform or fixed. Or you can use the term constant. Okay, any of the terms, they all have same meaning. Whichever you find comfortable with, you can use that. It is known as uniform circular motion. Why? Motion, the object is moving. Circular means the object is moving in a circular path. Circular path may be clockwise or anti-clockwise. Then you have the term uniform here. Uniform means the speed of the object while traveling in a circular path would remain uniform. Or you can say the speed would remain fixed. It would have a definite fixed value, which means you will have a constant speed. But remember the next important point, that is the velocity. No doubt the speed of the object remains uniform, that is the speed remains fixed, while the velocity changes continuously in this kind of motion. Why we are saying speed is remaining constant but velocity is changing? We have done this concept is related to the scalar and vector quantities. Speed, you all know, is scalar physical quantity. It means it only has direction, or sorry, it does not has direction, it only contains magnitude. While velocity, which is a vector quantity, it contains magnitude as well as direction. And because in uniform circular motion, I'll explain you with an example why I wrote velocity changes continuously at each and every point of the circle. Because the magnitude is remaining the same, but the direction at each and every point on the circle is continuously changing. Let's see, you have a circle here. Some figures are being made in your NCERT textbook under this heading. That is, firstly you are given with a rectangle, then you are given with a hexagon, then you are given with the octagon. Octagon is figure with 8 sides. You can take decagon. You can see that when I take a rectangle, that is a 4-sided figure. If the object starts from point A, then firstly it is moving in right direction, then it changes its direction and moves downward, then it moves left, and then it moves upward. So while traveling on this type of path, the object changes its direction 4 times. Okay, 4 times the direction is changing of this object. When the object moves on a hexagon part, hexagon means which has 6 sides, so it would change its direction 6 times. if I say that any object is moving in a decagon is a figure made up of 10 sides. So how many times that object will change the direction? It will change the direction 10 times. So the number of times an object changes a direction depends upon the number of sides of the given figure. This is very easy, because if the object while traveling from A to B will not change its direction, then it could not follow the path properly and it would move straight. So to follow the given path, the object has to change the direction, and the number of times the object will change the direction would be equal to the number of sides which you have in your figures. So can you say how many sides do you have in a circle with you? A circle is being drawn in front of you, and can you now tell me the number of sides you have in a circle? Okay, in a circle we assume that whenever the number of sides, see, when you had 4 sides, the length of side was large. But when the number of sides increases, the length of sides become comparatively less. And talking about the circle, we assume that the length of sides in a circle is of the size of a point. That is, circle has infinite number of sides. You can say that this circle has infinite sides, okay, and each side is of point sized. It means you have, when you join many points together, then you get a circle. It means at each and every point of the circle, the direction is not fixed. So I wrote the velocity changes continuously, because each and every point of this circle corresponds to a different direction, and you have infinite number of such points. It means that to maintain a circular path, the object has to change its direction continuously. And because the object has to change direction continuously, so we say that velocity of object also changes continuously, while the speed, which is a scalar quantity, which has nothing to do with the direction point, it remains constant here. So this is the difference we wrote. These are very important points. You should know that during uniform circular motion, uniform means the speed remains constant, but the velocity continuously changes. Because there is also one example given that a boy is standing. Consider a boy standing at the center of this circle, and he has a rope with a stone tied to it. And he is just revolving the stone. And once when he releases, if the boy is rotating or revolving this stone, and if he releases the stone at this point, this stone will now it would get or fall in a straight tangential direction. If I say that the boy who was rotating the stone, he releases the rope at this point, okay, at this point, then where the stone will go? If the boy who was rotating the stone released the stone at this point, then the stone would travel in a tangential or in a straight direction. Now the stone will not follow this circular path which was originally it was following. So such kind of straight direction are also known as tangential directions. What do you mean by tangent? If you have studied in maths, tangent is a line which is present on the outer side or exterior of the circle, and it touches the circle at a single point. So this would be the tangents to the circle. Those lines which touch the circle only at a single point, such lines are known as tangents. So you may be asked a question in exams that whenever an object which is following a circular path is released at a point, which direction does the object follow? Or which path does the object follow? So you will write the object follows a tangential path whenever you release any object which was undergoing uniform circular motion. So these were all the concepts related to uniform circular motion. You should remember that velocity during uniform circular motion continuously changes, because we say that a circle has infinite number of sides, and these sides, every particular side has a different direction, as I explained you with this example. Now you are given in NCERT some questions regarding this uniform circular motion which you can practice. A question regarding artificial satellite is given, and there only a single formula comes under this heading, that is, whenever you are required to find the speed of any object which is traveling in uniform circular motion, then the normal formula of speed is equals to distance divided by the time taken. Then speed would be, what is the distance? Whenever the object is traveling a uniform circular path, the distance is equal to the circumference of this circle. And the formula for circumference is 2 pi r. And t would be the time taken. So if you have to find the speed of any object which is traveling in uniform circular motion, then the important formula is speed is equals to 2 pi r upon time. Or you can even remember this as pi d upon time, and d here is diameter, because we know that 2 times radius gives you the value of diameter here. So you can remember this formula, and then you can practice a question which is question number 10th given in the exercise part of chapter 8 motion. Okay, a question regarding artificial satellite is given. You are given its radius and time, and you have to find the speed of the satellite by which it is rotating or revolving. So this completes every topic, including every topic we have completed this chapter also, that is chapter 8 motion. Now from the next class, we'll be starting with a new chapter. Till then, thank you for joining the class. Stay home, stay safe.